To order. All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Gigi.
Yes.
Mr. Tathias.
Here.
Mr. Moran.
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare. Mr. LeMay.
Here.
Mr. Sheehan.
Here.
Mr. Gitchia.
Yeah.
Mr. Bahu.
Here. Okay, Mr. Moran, has anybody signed up for public appearance?
No, Mr. Chairman, no one has.
Okay, no one signed up for public appearance. The next item on the agenda is school committee communications. Does anyone have any communications from the district? No, there are none. After that is the report of our student representative. Tonight it's going to be Maddie Bradley, who is part of our cheer team and are going to the Nationals. So we're excited to see that, and right now we're excited to hear about the students.
Right. Organizations and clubs, student activities is busy preparing for the holiday season and our upcoming 8th grade open house. Our annual holiday show is being filmed this week in front of a live audience and will be streamed on YouTube for staff, students, and families to enjoy on Friday, December 23rd, 2022. Our holiday show includes winter and December holiday themed performances by students and staff, as well as technical video clips and animations from our school community. In addition, we are hosting a school-wide door decorating contest to brighten up our hallways. Classrooms can enter the contest until December 20th. School-wide voting will take place on December 21st. Greater Lowell participated in the Lowell City of Lights Parade on Saturday, November 26, 2022. Over 40 students carried banners for the city throughout the parade, and our Scooby-Doo Deck the Halls of Greater Lowell Tech float, constructed by the construction cluster, was a big success. This year, our float took home two awards, Most Creative and the Mayor's Award for Best Show. Skills USA held a successful general membership event on November 30th, 2022. Over 70 students joined us for professional development workshops and our first ever Career Essentials Fun Fair, which featured games and activities aligned with the Skills USA frameworks of personal skills, workplace skills, and technical skills grounded in academics. The Skills USA freshman program will be adapting one of our games to engage our visitors at the upcoming 8th open house. Skills USA competition season is underway. School-wide assessments will take place Thursday, December 15th through Tuesday, December 20th. Formerly known as the in-house competition, these technical exams identify the students in each technical area who will represent our school in the Skills USA District 4 competition in March. All sophomores, juniors, and seniors will participate in the testing in shop or theory, and freshmen will test during digital literacy. We know you join us in wishing our students luck. The yearbook committee has been busy trying to create a book that speaks to their class vibe. The theme of this year's yearbook is Remembering the Past, Looking Towards the Future. The yearbook will highlight both the students' journey through their high school years and hopes for the future. In addition, there will be a photo strip theme throughout the yearbook, highlighting candid moments throughout the class of 2023's senior year. The Senior Class Planning Committee is currently planning their first fundraiser. They are designing class of 2023 family gear such as shirts, sweatshirts, and more. The funds raised will go to defray the cost of a senior outing held in the late winter. They are in the midst of prom planning season. They are narrowing down the proposed themes for a class-wide vote later this month. The freshman and sophomore planning committees completed a successful MCM baked goods fundraiser. They reached their combined goal of selling more than 50 products and raising over $2,000 for the two classes. Thank you to all the staff and families who participated. Products will be delivered to the school on December 17th for student pickup, with staff pickup taking place on Monday, December 19th. Dance Club is working hard to perfect their holiday show performance. They are choreographing a 5-minute holiday dance with homemade props and costumes. There are about 25 students in the performance and are looking forward to seeing their talents shine. Drama Club is teaming with Activity. There are 38 students actively involved each week. Auditions and casting for Law and Order Fairy Tale Unit has been completed. 48 characters are involved in this year's production, and the actors are immersed in memorizing their lines. In addition, the stage crew has been divided into several groups: set design, costumes, sound and lighting, props, and marketing. The play will take place on Thursday, April 13th, and Friday, April 14th. Be sure to save the date. Educators Rising Club is working hard on creating 2 children's books to enter into state competition. They are in the process of developing plots, characters, and illustrations. Club members will be presenting our stories at the state conference in March. Our club has been preparing art for an art sale fundraiser which will take place after the new year. They are working on submissions which will be featured in the upcoming holiday show. Art Club will also participate in the judging of the holiday door design contest. GSA attended the December regional conference meeting at Whittier Technical High School. Students were able to interact with GSA students from schools around the area. This month, the focus was on mental health, awareness, community healing, and self-care. These topics are particularly important around this time of year with the holidays coming up. And now with the athletics. Winter sports started on November 28th with nearly 500 students trying out for a spot on one of our winter teams. The swim and dive team will open the season on December 14th with a home meet versus Lynn Tech. The Griffin swimmers will look to make waves in the CAC this season. The ice hockey team returns a number of players from the last year's squad and should push for a postseason bid. The Griffin cheer squad will look to build their strong performance this past fall as they vie for the CAC championship. The competition dance team will enter its second year with a strong group of returning performers. They will also start performing at home basketball games this season as they prepare for competitions after the holidays. The girls and boys indoor track teams should be among the top in the league this winter. Both should be in the mix for the CSA championship this season. Boys and girls basketball should once again be 2 of the stronger programs in the league this year. The girls opened up the season with a league win over Essex Tech on December 13th, while the boys will kick things off on December 14th against Greater Lawrence. The Griffin wrestling team came out of the gate strong on December 10th, taking 2 of 3 matches in their season in opening quad meet. Big wins over Malden Catholic and Woburn, sandwiched around a tough loss to Concord Carlisle, should propel them into future successes this year.
Thank you, Matt.
It wasn't that bad.
The school's been real busy, huh?
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a lot of stuff.
Maddie, thank you.
We're going at full force here at Greater Lowell Tech. And Maddie, thanks for stepping up to the plate and delivering us the
Helping us
student
out.
report.
Team spirit.
Team spirit, yes, thank you. Next on the on the agenda would be the approval of minutes from November 17, 2022. Motion by Mr. Tatsias, seconded by Mr. Getchier. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes. Next would be the approval of our warrants. If I could have a motion to waive the reading.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sheehan, seconded by Mr. Moran. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes. We could have a motion to approve the sum of $4,711,649.82 for expenditures in December. Motion by Mr. Moran, seconded by Mr. Tatsias. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
No.
Oh, we gotta know.
Come on, Kevin, I want you to say yeah so I can just dig you.
Are you worried about? Are you worried about the final $11?
Yes.
And 82 cents.
That was the 82 cents.
Yes.
Wow. Funny.
Okay.
Kent, this last meeting is a spender.
Mr. Tatsias.
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Yes.
Mr. Lemay.
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan.
Yes.
Mr. Kitchen.
Yes.
Mr. Bahu.
Yes.
Under much controversy.
Yes. Another 7-1 vote. What a surprise. Report of general counsel. We have no general counsel here tonight. So let's move it on to the report of our superintendent director, Ms. Davis. I pass the meeting to you.
Mr. Chairman. The first item on my agenda tonight is to inform the committee that Greater Lowell has been awarded 2 separate career and technical education grants. The first is a CTE partnership planning grant in the amount of $15,000, which will be used to add metal fabrication and welding to the After Dark program next year, as well as for adding a new partner with the town of Dracut. The second is the CTE Partnership Implementation Grant in the amount of $97,900, $97,900. And this money is additional funds to supplement the After Dark program for support and supplies for information technology, automotive technology, and HVACR. Any questions?
Great job.
Yes, great job.
Very
Good
good.
stuff.
The next item on my agenda is the cooperative education report. The report you were provided indicates 168 senior students participating in cooperative education at the end of November, and I always have good news to bring.
Yes.
However, we have 174 senior students totally participating in co-op, which is 33% of the senior class. So again, a great job to our cooperative education director, Ms. Bazanson, who will begin to work with our junior students and getting them out on co-op at the end of January. So we look forward to getting some of our junior students out on co-op as well. The next item on my agenda, I'd like to invite the Assistant Superintendent Principal, Mr. Michael Barton, the Assistant Cheerleading Coach, Ms. Maya Medina, and our cheer team captains to join us to provide information regarding out-of-state travel requests due to their qualifying for the national championship in Texas. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Barton.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce before we begin Coach Maya Medina. Coach Riley was unable to be with us tonight. She's feeling ill. I'd like to introduce the 3 captains, Maddie Faria, Myra Pyrus, and Maddie Bradley. So congratulations to them. They have
the wave down.
They have qualified, the Griffin cheer team has qualified to attend the Nationals, the NCAA Nationals in Texas, Dallas, Texas, which will be held January 20th to the 23rd. So they're here to seek approval to travel to Texas to compete. I can give you a few details. There'll be 18 people traveling, 4 chaperones and 14 team members. We have estimated costs for flights, hotels, on-site transportation, and meals, which comes to $16,000. So we're here seeking approval for out-of-state travel so they can compete for the first time ever to Dallas, Texas.
So ladies, can you share with us what this means to you? This opportunity.
Well, I've been cheering at Greater Lowell for 4 years now, and this is my senior year. So this is kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and our team's never made it this far. So it would mean a lot to me if we were able to go, and it definitely would be a learning experience.
Thank you.
And you're excited.
Yeah.
You should be. Yeah.
Good for you.
I feel like the girls this year really put in like that 110% effort, knowing that we had a bid, and if we can make it that far, we had that opportunity to go as a team together and compete in nationals, which was big to all of us. And like she said, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not a lot of people get to do that.
I think it makes a lot of good memories for all the girls on the team. It also makes like a really huge impression out in school as well. Seeing how far we have gone and how big it can go. I also feel that like since there's 8 juniors on the team and we may not have this opportunity for next year, it'd be really good for us to have a memory like while we're still here.
So, Megan, are you a junior?
Yes.
Maddie, I'm sorry,
Maddie.
Maddie. Maddie, you are a junior.
Two Maddies and a Maya.
I know the other Maddie is a senior,
Mm-hmm.
and
Junior.
you are a junior, so it will also give you as juniors the opportunity that might not come around again. But, so can you talk about your relationship a little bit as a team?
Okay. Our team is more like a family. Like we go to each other with everything. Like we know we can go to practice and always have a good time. Like we can have a bad day at school and going to cheer just lightens everything up. Like it's always fun. Like whether we have a bad practice or a good practice, at the end of the day, we all come together as one and realize that like we've made it this far together. Who knows what we can do like in the future, and it's just like one big unit.
So we, as a school, we are very proud of you, and I know that you represent us well, and I'm very proud of you. I'm one of your biggest fans.
Teamwork. Good job.
Yeah, it's great teamwork, great teamwork.
Sounds like good leadership from the captains, too.
Yes, 100%. I was just going to reiterate, our lovely captains have done an amazing job their whole career here at Greater Lowell, leading the team and being a good example. Just the team as a whole, they work so well, like collectively, and they all are very competitive and have a common goal, and they all respect each other. They all want the best for the team and want to represent themselves and the school in the highest honor. So coaching them has been amazing, and these ladies are nothing short of great role models. So.
Oh, great. Thank you, Maya.
What an
Appreciate that.
opportunity. Congratulations on your accomplishment. And, to the other students on the team, congratulations to them as well. And you can always use this as a motivator for years to come.
Yeah.
Say, hey, let's go get that nationals again. And the school committee is willing to pay for it, which makes it even better. But we're going to go ahead and see if somebody can
Hard
go.
work brings its rewards.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
See, I know you guys worked hard, so I know people say cheerleading's not a sport. It is absolutely a sport. I know you fundraised to put yourselves through summer camp, which obviously paid off big time for you guys. So I'll absolutely be supporting this.
Thank you.
And hopefully the 8 juniors come back to us next year, seniors asking for 16,000. So I want to see this keep going. Because I remember 3 years ago, you guys had trouble qualifying, and now your last meet, you buried it. So, I mean, that means a lot.
Perseverance.
Exactly.
That's huge. So I guess you're going to make the motion, Mr.
I'll make the
Gettier?
motion
Really
to,
looking forward to this.
I'll make the
success
motion.
stories, too.
For sure.
Go Griffins.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Gettier to
approve the out-of-state travel for the cheerleading team to go to nationals in Texas.
of $16,747.
Can I spend some money?
We actually already had a second by Mr. Tatsias, but no, you don't need to spend any money. We know you like to save a buck. But the good news is I believe the first roll call vote is to you, so good luck with it.
Enjoy that barbecue down there.
Hold on, we didn't.
Mr. Okay.
He said yes. Wow.
Mr. Tatsias,
Wow.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. LeMay,
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan.
Yes.
Mr. Getchia.
Yes.
Mr. Bahu.
Let's make it 100%. Go Griffins. Woo! Yes.
Congratulations,
Yes.
ladies.
You guys even got Captain to say yes, spending money. That's a feat in itself.
Did good. And he says yes to nothing.
And think of it as a Christmas gift.
Thank you.
Enjoy, too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Thank you. The next item on my agenda, I'd like to ask the Director of Technology, Enrollment and Information, Ms. Lisa Martinez, to join us to provide information and answer any questions regarding the revisions to our admissions policy, as well as information regarding the admissions for our After Dark program. Both policies will need 2 separate approvals.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening.
Nice to see everyone again. So I'm here for each year. We have to have our admissions policy approved. So to look at the first one, our actual admissions policy for Greater Lowell Tech. You were provided with a document, and most of the changes were simple sort of edits and updates. And I don't know if you need to go through page by page, or if you have any questions, or how would you like me to proceed? Sure, I'm actually on the regular admissions policy, so this one.
Go ahead.
Has the admission policy, Ms. Martinez, has the admission policy changed at all from last year's?
It has. On page 1, we changed it that the school committee will be approving it on this date, so we changed the date. There was a typo in one of the on the page the last year. If we go to page 3, and we just sort of clarified, added some clarifying words for where applicable for our homeschool students, so that it would be a little bit clearer for the admissions policy. Also, there was a new addition, just asking for clarifying about the portfolio that we would need for homeschool students. And also that there may be a letter from the local superintendent attesting to the attained grade level may be requested. So just making a little bit more clarifying language around that. And then also on page 5, there was a new title for the Director of Language Acquisition. That's on our team, for the admissions team. So that was a new title. And then, let's see. The other pages. And that was pretty much it for the actual admissions policy for this year. Anybody have any questions?
No, it seems like it's pretty straightforward. It's what we had last year. It's what DESE standards are,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
We're following our state guidelines.
We are.
Terrific. The great news is, it seems like it's moving forward, and we have a motion by Mr. Gettier to approve the admission policy. Second by Mr. Sheehan. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchir?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Great. So the second packet that you received was the After Dark program, and we needed to put an admission policy in place for the After Dark program. And really, this admission policy doesn't really kick into place, the selection process of the admissions policy, unless it's only necessary when the school when the space is a limiting factor, so if there is a wait list. So once we have a wait list, then the selection process would kick in. And the selection process is the same as our actual admissions policy. So what I did here to make it a little bit easier is anything that was in red was an addition, and so that you can see page by page, we just added that so that it would be it would pertain just to the After Dark program. So if you would like me to go through any of the page by page, or if you would just like to ask me questions.
Just general housekeeping, right? House cleaning?
Well, this actually, yep, this was a new document. So this
Okay.
is a new document, but really, we just sort of retrofitted it to our admissions policy and wanted to make sure that it stood on its own for the After Dark program.
And the After Dark program starts after the students get out of their comprehensive school district, high school,
Yes.
2:30 to 5:30.
2:30 to 5:30. And it looks like it's for 50 students, is that correct?
Currently, yes.
Did we go over 50 students this past year?
No. Right now we have 35.
We have 35. Is that what our threshold was this year? Or was our threshold 50?
That was our application pool.
That was the application
Yeah,
pool?
so we have 14 students in the automotive technology program, 8 in the HVACR program, and 13 in the IT program.
Great. And we're expanding it to bring Drake into it as well, correct?
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes. How do the students get here after school?
They get here with transportation.
Supplied
that is
by-
provided by the sending district.
The sending district? So
Yes.
Lowell would send their students here, and Drake
yes.
sends their students here. And how long does the program go for?
2:30 to 5:30.
For the whole school
It's
year?
the month of the school year,
It's
yes.
the length of the school year. Terrific. And then when the students finish the program, do they get a certificate that says that they completed the After Dark program? They
Sure.
have a voc
What
ed
we did
certificate?
last year for our first graduating class was actually gave them a diploma stating that they have a certificate of completion of our technical program. Yes.
Wow. Is this only for seniors, or is it juniors and
It's
seniors?
juniors and seniors. It's a
Juniors and
two-year
seniors.
commitment. It's a two-year commitment.
Terrific.
So with the adding of Drake, are we gonna be over the 50, so it should kick in next year then, right?
So, no, we can hold up to, we
Oh, the
can
wait
hold
list?
more students,
We
yes, yes.
But 50 right now is sort of the comfort number, and we could possibly
Yes,
let
yes.
it grow.
We have to get the commitment of instructors to teach the programs and the different levels of the program. I think that's when it gets a little bit difficult. If we start a program that it has 2 levels, then you can have over 30 kids in one program, and you need more than one teacher.
I think that will become an issue.
Yes.
That's my hunch.
Like, is there a graduation rate? Does everybody gets into the program? Do they stay in the program?
It
Do we
depends
lose
on
some
the
along the way?
completion. We did lose students along the way. It is a big commitment, and
It's
I
school
think
till
that's something
5:30.
that we have to work on when we advertise for the program, the commitment piece, that it is a 2-year commitment. Many students have to give up participating in sports or after-school clubs and activities because they're coming here to learn a technical program. And I think many students who want to make that commitment appreciate the opportunity and are committed to doing so.
Sorry about all the questions,
Yeah,
but
no,
I still
that's
have
fine.
more.
The program is successful. It's running well, and hopefully we can continue to provide more students in our communities with this opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it will become
Yeah.
popular.
And the
Yes, I think
2:30 to
so, too.
5:30, is that 3 days a week, 4 days a week?
So right now it's 4 days a week.
4 days a
yes.
week.
Yeah.
And it essentially starts September 15th and
It
goes right
starts
through
at the
June?
beginning of the school year. I can't give you an exact date.
Yeah, right in
Yes,
there, but,
yes.
yeah, within
But at
the
the
first 2
beginning of the
weeks.
school year, we follow the schedule of the sending schools, their schedule, not ours. And yeah, it's a great program. You're welcome to come and observe at any time and see what those students are doing.
And we're one of the pilot programs in the state of Massachusetts to
So
be doing
there are
that.
some programs now in the state of Massachusetts. There's more schools. Essex is doing it. Northeast is doing it. We do it. So more sorry, Greater Lawrence does it as well.
Yes.
They were one of the first schools. So more and more technical schools. We're taking this opportunity to provide other students in their communities with a technical education. I think it's great. We're sort of working towards, as a school community, extending our campus to educate students from sending schools as well as adults. And we've been working with Mass Work Hire to bring programs for adults here. So we're really becoming a hub for our community as far as teaching others technical skills and the opportunity to go out and work.
Sounds absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions, or did I ask too many?
Job well done.
Great. Motion to approve by Mr. Sheehan, seconded by Mr. Gigi. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Thanks, Lisa.
The next item on my agenda, I'd like to ask the Assistant Superintendent Principal, Mr. Michael Barton, to join us again to present proposed revisions surrounding student discipline in the 22-23 student handbook.
Hello again.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
Hi, Mike.
So, the proposed changes in the student handbook pertained to a recent act of legislation from the Massachusetts legislature called an Act to Addressing Barriers to the Care of Mental Health. And within that act are some significant changes to school discipline in reference to suspension. So, broadly speaking, in the state of Massachusetts with school discipline law, there are 3 categories of suspension and expulsion. 37H, 37H and a half, and 37H and 3/4. 37H pertains to weapons, drugs, and assaults on staff members. 37H and a half pertain to felony complaints and convictions to students. And those two particular discipline laws do not pertain to the changes that I'm going to describe to you. The changes that pertain to 37H and 3/4 are what I'm here to talk about tonight. Essentially what the legislature has done is they are asking principals or their designees to, prior to suspension for an offense, to employ one or more alternative remedies to suspension, which include, but are not limited to, but include mediation, restorative justice, collaborative problem solving, and conflict resolution. So that can take place in a variety of forms with guidance counselors, adjustment counselors, psychologists, trained mediators, teachers. A wide variety of people can be involved in those things. And what the legislature is requesting or imposing schools to do is to employ those remedies prior to issuing a suspension for an offense. They're also asking schools to document them so that one can describe what they are and determine whether or not they've been, whether or not they're working. The legislature or the law also states that if these remedies do not work, then a suspension can then be imposed. So, there's significant changes. A couple of things, just, talking about them. Prior to this, the school had been certainly moving into this direction in many facets by employing some of these remedies, such as conflict resolution, alternatives to suspension, such as restorative justice, working with counselors, working with the school resource officers and the main office and myself to process offenses and to educate as well, in addition to suspension, and sometimes in lieu of suspension. So this is essentially the big, broad brushstrokes of this change. The school as a whole was informed of this when the act was signed into law on November 8th. We are also planning some significant professional development for the first in-service in January, which includes collaboration with liaisons, counselors, as well as the main office and myself to educate and to inform people of not only the changes, but also the opportunities for alternatives to suspension, as well as methods of de-escalation. So that's really the broad brushstrokes of this, what's in this handbook changes. Yes.
Is there such a thing as, like, say, community service to be looked at?
Yep, definitely.
As an objective?
Yep.
That's restorative.
Yeah?
Yeah, yep, we have done that. For example, without getting into the particulars, there's been a case where a student has spray painted. So we have worked with the plant services director to work around the building, painting, cleaning, things of that nature. That's definitely something we've done, for sure.
Well, I just go back to my prior work at the sheriff's department. We used to have details with teams. In fact, I think they've done work here.
Yeah, they do in the summertime too.
Painting, what have you.
Yep.
I think it's a good alternative, so that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Questions,
So
Mr.
it's kind of
Gigi?
objective test or to see if it's working. How do we know if it's working or not, other than the kids not repeating the offense?
So I think the ultimate test is, like you just said, if this, for recidivism, if the student is repeating the offense and the offense is continued to happen, then suspension can be imposed. So that's one, I think, yardstick of measurement. But we also, in the school, from measurements, we do a considerable amount of focus groups. We do surveys in order to get feedback from, we meet with the e-board to get feedback on what people's perception is and what the statistics say in terms of the school community and culture, but as well as whether or not they feel safe and whether or not they feel that the rules are being followed, and if not, what can be changed in terms of behavior.
And then how about uniformity in the enforcement? Is there a set protocol that we step through first, or is that what's being developed over the next few months?
I think there's two answers to that. I think we try to be as equitable and process-oriented in terms of the four people who are in the main office responsible for that. What I found in my experience, though, is that as much as you can try to be equitable and try to have a fair process to have a consequence to be administered that's in line with other consequences, oftentimes there are variations to offenses that need to be considered. But my experience with the main office is that they work very well together in collaboration to try to make consequences reasonable and fair throughout the student body. I think there's always room for improvement, and like I said, there's always variations and changes, and students have different histories and circumstances, what have you. But I think I can safely say that that is in the forefront of their consideration.
Because I can envision that some parents may feel that you're picking on their child, or there's an entitlement, and then they're questioning the severity of the discipline if it's not uniform through the entire student body or prior incidents.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that everything can be factually specific, because sometimes it's a greater severity offense.
Yep, and there are circumstances, there's a couple things about that. I think that not everyone has the total knowledge of the history of the student and the circumstances imposed or that are involved in an offense. And I also know that these consequences are confidential in nature, so they're not to be revealed. People guess at them, but the circumstances aren't always, they're not to be revealed. So.
Question by Mr. Sheehan?
I mean, I think you have a bunch of non-educational professionals making rules for the educational professionals, which is unfortunate. I was trying to come up with a nice one. So obviously you're going to come up with policy procedure for this. I mean, but if it's a repeat offender, like where does the line stop? Like, listen, you're getting suspended. I mean, God, I remember the old Dave Murphy days. This would have never flown.
Right.
I was here.
Yeah, so I mean, I can give you an example so far without going into specifics.
Yeah.
There has been a case where on 2 occasions there were similar offenses. The first offense was involving a staff member, and the consequence was community service and 2 3-hour detentions. The second offense was very similar in nature, and it involved a minority student and similar language, and that involved a higher consequence. And in both instances, mediation was offered, but the student refused to participate in the mediation. So when the third offense occurred, suspension was imposed.
So you're allowing the student to be involved in his discipline through mediation?
Mediation is something that we often offer for students. That you can't force someone for mediation, but it can be offered to both parties, and sometimes both parties agree. In some cases, one party will agree and one party will not.
So mediation is considered a form of alternative remedies to suspension.
In my experience, frequently it generally turns out positive in nature, but also I've noticed that there are many instances where people won't participate in it.
And then we can move to suspension.
They'd rather accept the punishment at hand?
In some cases, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Taskis?
In some cases, parents won't recommend it.
Student is suspended.
Mm-hmm.
What options do they have? If you permanently suspend them?
So you can't enforce a permanent suspension. So there's
That's expulsion.
right. So there's short-term and long-term suspensions. A short-term suspension is a suspension where a student is suspended for 10 or less days.
Okay.
A short-term suspension is not appealable. So, for example, there's no appeals process, and that suspension is issued by the main office. A long-term suspension is a suspension that's more than 10 days. That requires a hearing. And that hearing is upstairs with me, and I'm the hearing officer, and I listen to all parties involved, weigh all of the evidence that's presented by the school toward the student, and I render a decision on that day in terms of the consequence. That is appealable, and that appeals process goes to the superintendent within 5 days, and the superintendent then hears the circumstances involved and renders a decision.
And the superintendent's decision is the final decision. There's no appeal.
Yeah. So those are the really difference between short and long term. And then there's expulsion.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Gigi?
When they're out on suspension, if they are, what means are available to help educate them while they're on suspension?
Yeah. So the law states that after a certain number of days, tutoring needs to be offered. But we have always offered tutoring and services to students, regardless of whether it's a short or long-term suspension. That tutoring services run out of the Director of Curriculum's office. He has a few teachers that will either meet with the student at an independent place like the library, for example, to tutor them. The teachers are responsible for providing the work and the assignments for that student. And then if for whatever reason there's transportation or there's some other factor, it can be done online. So those services are offered. We've also offered counseling online for students as well. In those services, those are the services. Those are the two main services that are offered.
So we're still attempting to educate that student and
You
help.
have to.
Yeah, it's a
bring them back to
requirement.
It's a
school.
requirement.
Yep, it's a requirement. We've always been, I think, always willing to educate our students regardless of the offense in terms of length of time.
Corrective.
So let me ask you, Mr. Moore, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that, receiving this information a few days ago, and being of my interest, I brought my Mass General Laws book up, and I looked up all these titles to see just what it is that you're trying to explain to us. And as my prior employment as an educator, used to handle some minor situations within, and I'm sure in some of the shops we're doing that. If it's a small infraction that it hasn't gone to discipline.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
We encourage our teachers in both classrooms and technical programs.
Yeah, we used to get an assignment,
to work with their students.
I got hit with a spoon a couple of times.
Oh, no, I don't know about that, but
That explains it.
So I guess,
I wasn't a very good shot. But I just wanted to say that I took the time to look it up. It's interesting to read it out and then to decide what we're trying to do as opposed to what Mass General Laws is saying for us to do. It doesn't specifically say Greater Lowell. It's, a statewide event. And but that's my take on it.
thank you.
Yeah.
My question is, and I think this is what you started with, but I want to hear it again. If a student has a weapon, this is something that this is something that the state is requesting?
No,
No, there's no
It's
tolerance
exempt.
on a weapon.
That's exempt.
Yeah. So,
37H.
Not that degree.
So it's 37H is suspension or expulsion for weapons, drugs, or assault on
That's
staff
exempt from
members. So this particular change in the law does not apply to that. So if a student were to have an offense associated with a weapon, drugs, or an assault on a staff member, that would not pertain to this change.
This changes everything other than that.
Yeah, which includes a whole litany of offenses that anything other than weapons, drugs, or assault on a staff member, and anything other than a felony complaint or conviction that happens within school or outside of school.
Of the litany of the offenses, tell us something that might be on the...
Threatening, yeah, sure. There's bullying, threatening, harassment, cheating, stealing, lying, immoral behavior, audio taping, videotaping. There's a list of them.
Okay, and the state adopted
Vaping.
this on December?
No.
November
I
8th?
think it went into law on, it was signed into law by Governor Baker on November 8th and passed into law on August 2022.
Okay, so, I mean, all school districts get to go ahead and vote on it.
No.
No, we're just voting on the
trying to
changes to the handbook.
We did not vote on this as school
It's-
districts. We were sort
It's a
of
law.
taken back by it,
They're
and we're
forcing them
told,
to do it. The state's forcing them to do this.
and we're told this is what we need to do.
So
yes.
us as a school committee cannot take a vote on this. This is something that's just going to be...
No, you're voting on the changes that we're implementing into the handbook to be in compliance with the state laws. That's what you're voting on, but it's a law, so no, we did not have any part
We have
in
to
that.
abide by it.
We have to abide by it. There's no vote on that. You're voting to put these changes into our handbook so we can be in compliance with the law.
I understand how this would work in Weston and in Newton and in Brookline, but I think inner city school districts, you're holding your staff, your students, and your administration to a point where it may be difficult to run your school.
Which goes to my comment of you have a bunch of non-educational professionals dictating.
I agree with you.
Professionals.
I agree with you, Mr. Sheik. I agree with
So
you
I think
100%.
it's important to say we're focusing on building a positive school culture and climate, which is important.
And that's sure, and it's working well.
Building relationships,
But-
all adds to,
But we're also being put in a corner, saying you need to do this.
so we were, yes, as often things are told to us. These are the laws and these are the things that you need to follow, and you need to make it work. So we are making changes to our handbook, doing some professional development, and trying to implement the requirement that the state is put before us.
Mr. LeMay?
I don't want to get into a big
Debate.
thing here,
Mr.
or
Giga
any
likes
courtroom
debates.
drama, but I'm just wondering, and I'll say a freshman or a sophomore, if they feel, they're between a rock and a hard place, do they have anyone to fall back on, like a guidance counselor or anybody, or
I'm sure they
the
do.
how does that interact?
Yeah, so we have a very, very strong support system here at school. We have a great guidance department, or school counseling department, I should say, made up of guidance counselors. There's social workers, school adjustment counselors, nurses, all here to support our students.
So it's basically like a hospital. You have everybody that's necessary to come to the aid or
So we have
assist.
many support services for students.
Okay, that's great.
So what I think is
Yes.
happening here is the severe offenses still be handled in the same way.
Right.
It's the ones that fall into this gray area. All right, you're bullying, but maybe you don't really understand it. We're going to try to work with you and try to alter the conduct. And that gray area, what they're trying to do is to make a social environment here where we all work together and try to right the ship and keep everyone in a positive light. So I think what they're doing is they're kind of pushing that down to a different level to make it more
Yeah,
receptive.
I think the goal is to change behavior, at the same time keeping kids in school and learning.
Exactly. And that's the primary goal from the state. And sometimes you're going to have this conflict between entitlement and a student that could be really difficult, and there's no bright line rule that will apply, and that's where they're kind of shifting it down a little bit further to allow the culture of the school to kind of help control the conduct.
I think that what you offer here at this school is
Phenomenal.
It's beyond. I mean, it's so desirable, and if that was dangled in front of the kids, that you know, you want to be on this side of the door or the outside of the door. Because they have so much to gain here that, and so much to lose. It may change some attitudes if you had more leeway to. And the other thing is, every kid that's misbehaving in here, there's a waiting line. There might be some kid out there that would take advantage of all you have to offer here. This is a great, great school. And if somebody in here is not taking advantage of it, it's keeping somebody outside. You know?
Well, sometimes kids will follow it if they have the opportunity to participate in the discipline.
Yes.
They're more inclined to make it memorable and not repeat it. I think that's where the state may be
And
trying
the goal
to,
is to change the
the
behavior.
behavior.
Yeah.
And then the more serious offenses were still protected by the first two sections of the statute. So, and that's a no tolerance. It's when you get into the little gray areas where the kids may not realize what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, first times, you know, we can work with them. But if,
Right.
if the kid's a repeat offender and he does it a third time, like
We can
Mr.
still
Barton
suspend
used
him.
for an example,
Right.
he says, you know, it took a third time before the kid actually got suspended, which to me is, you know, ludicrous because it's causing confusion in the classroom and in the building.
It's causing
And it's
some
upsetting.
disruption. Yeah.
And it's upsetting because teachers are losing respect. And other students are sort of, you know, maybe not comfortable in the classroom.
And they're not getting the attention
The-
they
the-
need because it's wasted.
which is the academics.
On somebody who's not taking advantage of it.
Roll call. Anybody want to put in a motion for this? Do we need a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve the handbook.
Yeah.
I'll take a second.
Motion by Mr. Sheehan, second by Mr. Goodyear. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
7-1, no.
Mike, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Very nice. Thank you.
So before I end, that's the end of my report, but I just want to say before I close, I'd like to just thank the three retiring school committee men, Mr. Gigi, Mr. Tatios, and Mr. O'Hare, for their commitment to our school community, for always putting students first in their decision-making, and for the support that they provided me over the years in making the school that it is. So thank you for your commitment in your 7.5 years of service, Mr. Gigi, your 10.5 years of service,
Thank you.
Mr. Tatios, and 26 years of service from Mr. O'Hare.
Wow.
We appreciate all that you've done, and I just wanted to acknowledge that publicly and just, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. I truly enjoyed working on the committee and meeting each and every one of you. I enjoyed working as a team. I think we made some very good choices and decisions over the past 7.5 years. One with our current superintendent being on board, and same with the assistant superintendent and all of the administrators. I'm very proud to have served on this team and what the school has truly become and have accomplished. And each one of the committeemen here that volunteers their time tirelessly is to be admired, and I can get the last word in with Chairman Bahu and say, look, you got good qualified people without a stipend.
I'm gonna rehash that.
Thank you for your last word. Mr. Gigi, let's open the floor to a little conversation. And thank you.
I'd like to echo what Mr. Gigi said, and thank you all for being here and doing what you do, all of you.
Yeah, it's really a team effort,
It
and I
is.
think a team that has students at the forefront of what they do. So that's, I hope we
We
can
don't always
continue to move.
agree
Right.
on how to get there,
But
but
we get
we're all
there,
headed to the
right?
same place.
That's,
Yeah, yeah.
And it's worked.
it has.
And great,
There's no I in team, and I think we've had a great team.
I do
I,
too.
I feel,
Yeah.
you know, it's upsetting in some regards that we're gonna be losing several members at a time and the situation at hand, but
But looking
It's-
forward to the new team members.
Yeah.
Change is good.
Yeah, and
Change is
working
good. They'll bring
together
some
to
new
continue
ideas.
To move the school forward. I think that's important.
And if I can help anybody, please feel free to reach out at any time. I'd love to help.
Yes.
Sure, you can help us get a stipend. But that's another question.
It's well deserved though, you know, because there's a lot of time that goes in behind the scenes that nobody realizes. When you're sitting at this table at a public meeting, a lot of this is scripted, and we know where we're going with it because we've had the opportunity to review the materials beforehand. But there's a lot of time and effort that goes in behind the scenes that deserves compensation at some point. But right now, we have a good committee. We have some good members coming in, and I hope that they can, together with the team that's already in place, be directed in a very positive direction with the expansion of the classrooms and the turf field and the improved MCAS scores. Everything seems to be hitting on all cylinders right now, and I'd hate to see any disruption in that. And I think the current chairman and the committee that is carrying forward from here is going to take the responsibility and do a good job. I have no doubt in my mind.
Thank you. And thank you to you, Mr. Tatsias.
Thank you.
For your 10.5 years of service. 5 superintendent searches, $500 million in budgets, focusing on students, and even having certain altercations that may have not been most beneficial, but with open eyes and open heart, you helped our student body at all times, and you always were a cheerleader for the school. I'm grateful to have worked with you, and I'm grateful to have been a part of the school committee that you were on.
And I feel the same way about you all.
Thank you. And Mr. Giggy, I'm thankful for you and the banter that you created, as well as the debate that was started up, just to go ahead and have the old picture looked at. I think you brought a nice persona to this school committee, and you did it with flair, and always for the benefit of the students. I'm grateful to have worked with you. I know that you were always thinking of the students first, as you were, Mr. Tatsias, as Mr. O'Hare had always been, and I learned from all of you. Some came in after me, some were here a long time before me, but ultimately, this was a school committee that all worked together and sometimes didn't agree, just like we just took a 7-1 vote. We may agree, we may disagree, but at the end of the day, we never had any lost comfort or any lost relationships due to something that may have come up at the school committee table. So thank you for being a part of this school. The school has been moving forward ever since you've been on it, and I'm sure it's going to keep moving forward, but you guys have been a big part of the growth here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Well, I came on, then Mr. Tatsias came on, you came on. We all came aboard around the same time, so we've been part of the family for a while. And Mr. Giggy, and to some of the Cape Conference events down there, those have been well remembered. You know what I mean? A lot of good info that we learned down there going to those sessions. But it's like it's breaking up this old gang of mine. You know, it's like George is and perhaps some health issues too, but that you'll be missed here. But we're going to take on your what you've taught us as well too. You know what I mean? And also we look to you for representation as an attorney.
Thank you.
You know, that was and George. Well, I know where you live.
Yeah.
You know,
I won't be far away.
Yes, and it was also a pleasure to often have Mrs. Tatsias attend our meetings also.
Certainly was.
So, but you will be missed.
Thank you.
It was an honor and a privilege to serve with both of you. It really was.
I'm just going to echo everybody's statements. Captain, thanks. You brought out the best in everybody. Just did it, but it was always towards the benefit of the kids, making everybody think. And, you've always challenged everybody's opinion, and not opinion, but you had to back it with facts. and you always challenge us to think about it, and you absolutely made me better to do my work, even though you call me the spender.
You guys were always good at what you did, and I enjoyed every moment on this committee, and I enjoyed working with everyone. There wasn't one moment, even when we're in a disagreement, that I did not enjoy the people that I'm working with.
You know, I can honestly say I don't agree. I don't think we ever had disagreements. We just, it is what
Different
it is.
opinions.
Right. It is what it is, and we've always come together, whether afterward we go up for whatever it would be, a water, coke, beer, whatever. And we all got along. And George, gentleman, absolutely right next to the word in the dictionary is your picture.
Exactly.
It was awesome to serve with you. Not to say that you're not a gentleman, you are, but it was awesome to serve with you, and the same thing with Giorgio here. I wish everybody well.
And change is good. Change it'll be a positive direction.
You guys can all hang your head high too.
As you are.
And I'm sure, don't even have to think if we needed to call you for something or, pick your brain for something, I'm sure you'll be right there.
Certainly.
And
Well,
don't be a
enjoy your
stranger here.
retirement and time with your family, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
School's a jewel. Don't ever stop polishing.
That's right.
Amen.
Right,
Thank you.
right.
And that's the end of my report for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Superintendent.
Thank you, Jill.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda would be the report of our business manager, Mike Knight.
All right, we've got a couple of items for you this evening. The first item is a requested update to the purchasing policy. We had another act of legislation come through that actually increased the threshold for bids and quotes in the school departments statewide. So the current threshold sits at $50,000, which was updated, I believe, in 2017 or 18. Our current policy hasn't been updated even since that time, so we're seeking bids, sealed bids for anything over $25,000 currently. The new state threshold has moved that up to $100,000, so to just get in line with the state thresholds and avoid administrative burden of purchasing, I'm bringing forth a recommendation to move to those new limits. And just because it's not really broken out in the policy, I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown of how purchasing would exist under this change. Anything $0 to $10,000 is sound business practice, which generally means that you check the pricing maybe between a couple of people or every couple of years if it's something that you do on an annual basis. From $10,000 to $100,000, we still need to have 3 quotes in hand for any purchase. And then anything above $100,000 would have to go to the formal sealed bid process.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept, motion to approve by Mr. Getchier, seconded by Mr. Tatsias. Roll call.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes?
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchir?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Second item on my agenda is seeking the approval to open a credit card for the district. We have a lot of businesses that we work with, and particularly through the pandemic, we found that a lot of companies moved things to online payments or just weren't interested in waiting for our paper checks to process payment. So we do have a debit card that we currently use. It's just not a super secure form of payment. If anyone gets your debit card number and the money gets taken, it's gone. There's no team working for you. There's no fraud protection. That really doesn't exist on a debit card. So while it stays in my office, there still is associated risk with that. Websites, things happen. Every other week it feels like some big company comes out and says they've had data leaks. And if we're part of that data leak, you don't know where that card number ends up. At least with using a credit card in place of a debit card, we would have the opportunity to have fraud protection and have a company like MasterCard, in this case for the card I'm recommending, represent us and help to recoup those funds. And I don't think it mentions it, but the card in question is called a MasterCard Community Card. It doesn't hold an annual fee, it doesn't have rewards, it's really basic. I looked at potential of rewards accounts, but based on what we're doing with online purchasing right now, the rewards accounts usually carried some sort of an annual fee, and the amount of rewards wouldn't even equal the annual fee, so it didn't make financial sense to even consider it.
Any questions
At
about
any
the?
practices, other business managers, are they doing the same thing?
There are a lot of districts that use what, maybe not this exact program, but use purchasing cards. I actually implemented one in my previous district that was similar. We had multiple cards and individuals had them out and about just based on need. But I think having a single card still maintained in my office in the safe fits our needs here at the school very well.
Any other questions?
Motion to
Motion by Mr. Sheehan to approve, seconded by Mr. Lemay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
That ends my report this month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Thank you.
Okay, under old business, we have some outstanding items from previous meetings. Mr. Gigi, there's one here by you for building security. Are you happy with the direction that we have gone and the direction we are going?
Remains very positive. I think the school and the team is looking at all the options and doing a bang-up job about that. They've hired a consultant to kind of come in and look at things, and things are moving in a positive direction. I remain hopeful that security will be a top agenda going forward for the committee.
Okay, would you like to remove this from the outstanding
Could I actually
items?
say something?
Go ahead, sure, Mr. Sheehan.
Could I put my name there and we'll take Mr. Gigi's off on the building security, if that was all right with you?
That'll be fine.
Okay, so it can be focused on with Mr. Sheehan
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
as an outstanding item. Great. And as far as the superintendent's wall goes, Mr. O'Hare's not here. Shall we keep it on as an outstanding item?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, out of respect to Mr. O'Hare. Great, thank you. Okay, new business. Go ahead, Ms. Superintendent.
So for new business, the facilities naming committee, we need to talk a little bit about that. There are members, there are 9 members, and we need to appoint those 9 members. And it's my responsibility to appoint 6 of those members, and your responsibility, Mr. Chair, to appoint 3 of the members. So with that said, I would like to extend for you to go first, and if you would like to appoint the chairperson and the 2 members of the school committee who you would like to be part of the facilities naming committee, that would be appreciated.
Great, and I've had some conversation with multiple school committee members. I know Mr. Moran, you had been the chair of that committee for a number of years. I thank you for your service. Unfortunately, you can't do it for another term, but we thank you for everything that you've done. With that being the case, I did speak to the new chairman of that committee, which would be Matt Sheehan, who's been on that committee for a period of time. It's only fitting that we make him the chair of that committee for 2022 through 2025.
I don't think Matt was ever on that committee before you were. Okay.
Okay. And then second, I believe, Lee, I had a conversation with you about it as well on the naming committee a number of months ago. I hope you still remember that.
I do not. I was going to respectfully decline it, but
Okay.
if you really need me to be on it, I will. If somebody else wants to,
I'd like to have you there.
sure.
Okay. Your term
And he is the top vote getter.
Thanks for volunteering.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Sure.
Your term would only be for 1 year.
Okay.
And then Mr. Lemay, I know that you and I had that conversation as well.
So the terms are for 3 years.
Yeah, they're 3-year
Yep.
terms.
Yes.
That'll cost you.
Yep. Lee will be for 1 year, and then Mr. Lemay, if you could do it for 2 years, be on the naming committee.
On the same committee?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is stagger them.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So that
I
we're
should
just
think,
moving
yeah.
people in and out. And in time, I will have the benefit of being on that committee when I'm not the chairman anymore.
So
So
that time period will be what?
Your time period would be for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you so much.
That helps us.
Okay, great.
thank you, and I'd like to start with my appointments. I'd like to appoint Mrs. Jenny Flood, the parent member. This is a 3-year term from 2022 to 2025. I'd like to appoint Thomas Baronis. As you know, he was our former school committee student. He is graciously wanting to be a part. He would be the alumni of this committee, so I'm going to appoint Thomas for a 3-year term, 22 to 2025. Mr. Fallon, I'd like to appoint as our retired administrator. This would be a 2-year term, 22 to 24. Mr. Eric Burgess, a retired teacher, for a 2-year term, 2022 to 24. Mr. Knight, a current administrator, for a 1-year term. And Ms. Kimberly Fabrez as a current teacher for a 1-year term, 2022 to 2023. And those are my members of the Facilities Naming Committee.
Okay, that's terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have a committee, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there any committee person motions? There are not to be discussed. Any report of any subcommittees? There are none. Before we go, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays. May you enjoy your families and all that you do. And we thank you all for your time and efforts. And if I could have a motion to adjourn, that would be made by Mr. Tatsias.
Yeah,
And then seconded for for Mr. Giggy. If we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Gigi,
Yes.
Signing
Mr.
off.
Tatsias.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Getchia.
No. Wanted to stay a little
7:01,
longer.
baby. I love it.
Change it to a yes.
Somebody has
Mr. Mahu.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yep, happy holidays.
Yeah.
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
There's a contract.
Happy Hanukkah.
I don't know.